Do you feel Hanuman Ji is still alive till date?
Of course he is alive. Of course he exists. There are many recorded instances of Hanuman Ji where people have encountered him, they have experienced him. I have personally felt the presence of Hanuman Ji.
There's a lot of conspiracy, I would say. I don't know if that's the right word that I should use. Whether Hanuman Ji was meant to hear the Bhagavad Gita or not.
My question to people who put this view forward is, what makes you think you are meant to hear the Bhagavad Gita?
Hardik Pandya, he talks about this, ki I listen to the Hanuman Chalisa wherever I am. He bought a Ferrari. He said I was hearing the Hanuman Chalisa inside of it. We all know that phase that he had. He was being booed by thousands, millions of people. And he's like, the Hanuman Chalisa kept me. And whenever I feel sad, I listen to the Hanuman Chalisa. Why is it that they talk about the Hanuman Chalisa specifically?
Hanuman Chalisa brings the dynamism and capability of Hanuman Ji in everyone. That strength to overcome obstacles, that strength to face their fear, the ability to go forward regardless of any challenge. That power is contained in the Hanuman Chalisa. This entire podcast is not simply addressed to people who are believers in Sanatan Dharma. It is addressed to those who want to go ahead and achieve some great things in their life.
What do you think would be one message if Hanuman Ji had to give to today's youth?
The one message that really stands out to me is...
So hey guys, welcome to another episode of TRP, and today is a really special episode because one of our most lovable, one of our most watched episode guests is finally joining us again to be a part of our journey again. And this episode is also really special because I'm here sitting with my bro. You can't see him in the frame, but we did the podcast I think you could have heard him. We did the podcast for the first time when Om was a part of our journey. Now he's supporting this journey with me. And Om, before we get into the episode, for a lot of viewers who don't know who you are, what you do, could you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, well, firstly, it's great to be back. I've done 3 podcasts in the last 2 years, 2 of which are with TRP. So it's nice to be here. I introduce myself usually with 4 words: strategist, speaker, pundit, and coach. Strategist, I run my own strategy company. It's called GD Partners, and we help businesses that want a suitable valuation to understand what valuation they can achieve and how they can get there. So this is companies that are pre-IPO, who want investment and so on. And that's the day job. Speaker is, I am a speaker on all sorts of dharmic subjects. I have my own YouTube channel where we share insights from the Bhagavad Gita and Hanuman Chalisa, and we have plans to do a lot more in coming time. Pandit is, I perform Vedic ceremonies, and this is primarily now in the private domain. I used to do it for others previously, but now the idea is to take it public rather than an individual family or an individual wedding. So that's an effort that's underway. And coach is, I coach the top CEOs and founders in India and around the world. So my coaching clients range from California to New York to London to Amsterdam, Dubai, and of course all over India. It's a wonderful portfolio of things that I do. So strategist, speaker, pundit, coach.
Yeah, I know because I obviously know who you are and we also knows who you are. But since the last time, it's been almost a year since we have recorded an episode. And since then, like I mentioned, a lot of people have been part of the journey. So I wanted the people to know the guide in my life, in Anvay's life, in all of our lives, who has changed our life in a lot of ways, finally introducing himself over here. And there's a lot that we want to talk about, that we want to know. Hopefully the viewers will also get enlightened with whatever you have to say. And just to backtrack a little, the last time you came, we spoke about Shivji. We spoke a lot about tarot, manifestation. So today, just to give the viewers a little bit about what we're going to speak, it's going to be more on Hanuman, as we had discussed. So I'm just going to get straight up into it. Do you feel Hanuman Ji is still alive till date?
Of course he is alive. Of course he exists. So Hanuman Ji is, in our Shastras, a Chiranjeevi, one who remains alive and present and accessible in this realm until the end of creation. And there are many recorded instances of Hanuman Ji since the time of the Ramayan and to date, where people have encountered him, they have experienced him. And there's a very interesting appearance that Hanuman Ji also makes in the Mahabharata, which was thousands of years after the Ramayan. I have met people in my life who have felt the presence, no, not just felt the presence. I have personally felt the presence of Hanuman Ji, but people who have met him face to face in this century itself. So Hanuman Ji definitely exists. Having said that, I will clarify that our dharma, Sanatan Vedic dharma, is not just predicated on belief. It is not a series of commandments or core declarations that say so and so is my declaration, and to enter this faith I have to declare my allegiance. Sanatan Dharma is a dharma of experience. So when we say Hanuman Ji exists, it is not sufficient to simply believe the Shastras. We have processes of meditation and worship through which one can actually access the energy of Hanuman Ji, feel his presence, and if carried on in a focused way for a sufficient period of time, be able to meet him face to face. So just because I say Hanuman Ji exists, don't simply say, okay, this is the be all and end all. I would encourage anyone who is a Sanatani, who follows our dharma, to make the effort and experience Hanuman Ji in their own lives.
But when we talk about it in today's practical world, when we're living in multiple generations, we have Gen Z, Gen Alpha, the millennials, to put oneself through that process that you just mentioned, that means not a lot of people are that fortunate probably to have that blessing of encountering the Lord, or have or be so lucky to witness the Lord. So do you think only if you do whatever you mentioned, everything, that process that if one follows that, then only they'll be able to meet the Lord? Or is there any other way?
See, if I have to call you, I have to take my phone out, I have to open WhatsApp, I have to search your name, I have to click the dial icon, and that's how I can connect with you. So to connect with anyone, there is a certain process involved, right? And are there other processes? Can you access the realm through other processes? Potentially, yes. But if I have a prescribed pathway or a documented pathway that multiple people have followed and they have all achieved the same results, then it's a little bit like in reinventing the wheel. Why is it necessary? Having said that, I would say that you mentioned multiple generations. There have always been multiple generations that have existed together. Each generation has had a different mindset, and each generation has challenged the beliefs and processes of existing generations fully in every aspect. You know, whether it's professionally, whether it's artistically, whether it's in terms of sports performance, whether it's academically, every generation brings something new to the table. And what I find interesting today is that multiple generations are in parallel seeking in a way that potentially in our modern history we have not seen before. The access to information is much greater. And when the access to information is greater, it's helpful because then people can judge for themselves. They can discern for themselves. They can access multiple different sources and then come to their own judgment. And what we are seeing is that the more information becomes available, the more people are applying that discerning mindset. The more discerning mindset they are applying, the more they find validity in what is being said in the Shastras. That's why I always say, Sanatan Vedic Dharma is not a system of belief. It is not even a faith. It is fundamentally a dharma of experience.
But don't you think that, with a lot of information out there also, you'll have a lot of people telling you 1,000 things. How do you know which one is the right thing for you?
You have to now try. You have to walk the path. See, one has to walk the path to be able to understand which pathway is valid. And not just which pathway is valid, but which pathway is suitable to me. That if I have to go to Delhi, for example, there are multiple ways that I can go to Delhi. right? I can drive from Mumbai. It will take me probably a couple of days, right? I can take the train. That's a nice overnight journey. Or I can take a flight. It's 2 hours away. Now, of these, which routes are valid? All 3 routes are valid. The point is what is suitable for me. So there are, in the same way, in every belief system, especially every dharmic belief system, which to my mind also includes Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, because they are not about a core, not simply about a core set of beliefs, but about accessing an experiential reality that sits beyond these beliefs. Now, in these systems, there are multiple pathways. And the reason there are multiple pathways is because there are multiple types of people. So the multiplicity is not a problem in itself. There is diversity, there's no problem in diversity. This entire creation exists because there's diversity. But in this diversity, there's one unity. And that unity is you experience for yourself what the Shastras are saying. And I'll give you a practical version of this. See, we didn't talk about, I introduced myself briefly, but one of the things I didn't mention is that I have just moved back to India after 20 years in London. And 18 of those 20 years were spent at the very top of the corporate world in banking. When I left London, I was a managing director at one of UK's oldest banks and the largest commercial bank. And in that largest commercial bank, I had the role of being head of strategy. Now, why am I talking about all these things? It is not to glorify myself, but only to state that this meteoric career journey has only been possible with the constant pursuit of these pathways, whether we call them meditation, whether we call them breath regulation, whether we call them devotion. It has only been the consistent pursuit of these disciplines that has led to career progress. And we are talking about Hanuman Ji. My whole spiritual journey started with Hanuman Ji, where I was at a retreat in France, organized by Chinmaya Mission, must have been, I think, about 2007. And over those 2 or 3 days that we were there, the Swamiji, who had come from India, introduced us to such dynamic aspects of Hanuman Ji that at the end of that period, we were empowered with his energy. And I remember I was probably in my 2nd or 3rd year at university at that time. I came back, and from that point, my life completely changed. So if anyone wants to stalk a little bit, they can go look at my LinkedIn profile. Everything is public, what I've been able to do. But I will say this, that the full and complete credit for that goes to the spiritual processes that have been prescribed in our Shastras. So for a practical minded person, even if they want career progress, this is the pathway to pursue it.
So are you trying to say if they don't do it, then they won't have career progression?
No, I don't think so. I see, if people will get what they are talented at and where they put their effort. And it's not to say that people who are not spiritual don't achieve success. But it is also true that people who are not disciplined are not able to achieve their full potential. See, we are all different people. You and I can't be Usain Bolt, regardless of how much spiritual process we follow. What we can be is the best version of ourselves. Pritish can be the best version of Pritish. Om can be the best version of Om. Anvay can be the best version of Anvay. And every single person listening to this now can be the best version of themselves. Whether it's in their professional life, whether it's in their family relationships, whether it's in their fitness. How do we get to that best version of ourselves? First thing is we have to remove something, and second is we have to do something. We have to add something. What we have to remove are our mental fears and conditioning. If I say Pritish can be the best version of himself, and I say in that he can be CEO of a listed company, there is a version of us today that will say, "Arey nahi, I can't do that." That is our mental conditioning. That before we even start the race, we have accepted defeat. Why? Why do we accept this? So that mental conditioning that says something can't be done or is not even worth pursuing, that is something we have to remove. And all of the top leaders that we see around the world, whether it's Elon Musk or whether it was John P. Morgan or any of these very, very successful individuals, they were people who didn't take no for an answer. Their foresight was such and is such in the case of Elon Musk and others that they are able to see things that go beyond their mental conditioning. So that mental limitation has to be removed. And what is it that needs to be added in? If we are removing the conditioning, or in order to remove the conditioning, we have to add in something that helps us regulate our thoughts.
So that's where spirituality comes in.
Spirituality is one mode of doing that. Yeah. And why is it? Because when we meditate or we chant, we regulate our breath. When we regulate our breath, our mind slows down. When our mind slows down, we are not so triggered by external circumstances. The same effect of breath regulation, maybe to a slightly lesser degree, can be achieved through fitness. Because when we perform certain physical actions, our breathing does become regulated. If you do a 5-kilometer run, it's not that you're out of breath by the end of it. If you maintain a steady cadence, your breathing becomes regulated. At the end of that breathing, you are able to hold more oxygen capacity in your lungs. When you are able to hold more oxygen capacity in your lungs, when a tough situation comes in front of us, we don't start breathing in a shallow way. When we don't breathe in a shallow way, we are able to create space from any trigger. When we are able to create space from any trigger, we are able to respond to the situation in the most suitable way. And that's why you will see many CEOs around the world, they are very much into their fitness.
Running and all.
Whether it's running, whether it's strength training, whether it's yoga, any of these. They pursue it.
Correct.
Why? Because it gives them that X factor. It gives them the edge. It means that when storms come, and storms will come in everyone's lives, especially if you are a leader, you will get more storms. Because the whole organization storms will come to you. So, at that time, they have this mechanism that can create space between their trigger and their response. So to answer your question, it's not that people, if they aren't spiritual, will not get success. I might not even say that anyone who is spiritual will get worldly success. But if one has discipline, they will achieve a type of inner success where the outer world circumstances don't shake them.
Understood. Because we are talking about seva, and the biggest seva that Hanuman Ji has done for anyone is with Shri Ram. Is it okay to say this? Because I've seen it in a lot of interviews also, कि आप हनुमान जी का नाम लो, but उससे पहले आप Shri Ram का नाम लो. So the people who worship Hanuman Ji, do they automatically become bhakts of Ram Ji as well?
There's a wonderful line in the Hanuman Chalisa. It says, Rama duare tuma rakhaware, hot na agya binu paisare. It says that at the doorway of Ram, you are the guard. And we cannot be admitted past the doorway without your blessings. Right? And it's a very beautiful line because it shows a lot of depth. It shows us that when we pursue a spiritual process with unwavering dedication, which is what Hanuman Ji was able to demonstrate, then the result becomes inevitable. See, what is Hanuman? Hanuman is the personification of Shastra, Sadhana, Sangha and Seva. He is the personification of that. Right? And when we live our lives as Hanuman Ji, we are able to connect with that underlying spiritual essence that we discussed, that pervades everything. Because even if you take the word Ram, there are many meanings of Ram. Wonderful, wonderful, deep meanings of Ram. One of these meanings is Ra is light and Ma is within. So Ra, Ma collectively denote the light within. Now, in our spirituality, what is the light within me? It's not separate from the light within you. It's not separate from the light within the tree. It's not separate from the light that pervades everything. So if we live a spiritual life like Hanuman Ji, then we access the light within, that is Ram. And of course, if we see Hanuman Ji as that physical presence, if we reflect on him and we remember his stories and we are able to admire the dynamism with which he acted in the Ramayan, then those qualities start to come into us. And as those qualities come to us, then we also start pursuing the desire to see Shri Ram.
Correct.
And at that time, Bhagavan Shri Ram comes in front of us.
Wow. I mean, definitely, like we have heard so many stories growing up also about Ramji, Hanumanji. But I think I don't know if I would call it a misconception, but I would seek clarity on this. Is Hanumanji an avatar of Shivji? I've heard a lot of people saying yes, he is. I've heard a lot of people saying no, that's completely different according to what's written in the Shiv Puran. A lot of things. So could you please clarify that? Like, what's the truth?
So, like I said, the truth is something to be experienced, not to be purely referenced in a text. And the reason I say that is because obviously people are of different types. And with the diversity in people and mindsets, there are certain narrative variances that are created to appeal to a particular mindset. The underlying truth is the same. That never changes. The Vedic truth is unchanging. But the expression of that to be able to be accessible to different minds is written in different ways. That's why we have different texts like the Shiv Puran, the Vishnu Puran, the Devi Puran, Devi Bhagavatam, the Ganesh Puran. All of these texts are speaking about the same Vedantic truth. But the narrative structure in each of them is different. And that's why what happens is that you have different stories that emerge depending on which book you are reading. But, and therefore, there are certain categories of Vaishnavas who will say, no, Hanumanji does not have anything to do with Shiva, but he is what is known as a Marut. He is someone who has got the energy of the wind element, the air element of the 5 elements. So earth, fire, water, air, space. So he embodies the air element, Marut. However, Hanumanji is also a Amsha avatar of Bhagavan Shiva. Amsha avatar means that Shivji's essence is what pervades Hanumanji. And Amsha means part. But very interestingly, Hanumanji is also a self-realized person. So self-realized person who sees this entire creation to be its underlying spiritual reality is none other than Shiva himself. Because you attain that position of the experience of Shiva, that is no different. So it's a very interesting narrative structure around who is Hanumanji. Now, you may say, okay, Hanumanji may be Shiva, but why Shiva? What is Shiva's relation with Ram? Yeah. Now, Bhagavan Shri Ram's Ishta Devata, his own deity that he connected to the most was Shiva. And there are innumerable such temples that have been established by Bhagavan Shri Ram himself, where he has consecrated that Shivling. One of them is Rameshwaram, Jyotirling in southern India. Another one, very interestingly, in Mumbai is Walkeshwar, that has been consecrated by Bhagavan Shri Ram himself. So, Bhagavan Shri Ram used to worship Shiva. And so Shiva came to serve Bhagavan Shri Ram in the form of Hanuman. Now you may say, okay, but Shri Ram worshipped Shiva and Hanumanji came to serve him. But even Ravana worshipped Shiva. Why didn't Hanumanji go to serve him? Yeah. Hanumanji went to Ravana and he went to the assembly in Lanka, and he tried over and over again to advise Ravana, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. This will happen, that will happen. So Bhagavan came to serve his own bhakta. But a pure bhakta was able to see. And a selfish bhakta was not able to see.
I remember once when Anvay and I, we were recording an episode, you mentioned about the fact that Ravan was compelled. He knew that he is going to lose the war, that Bhagwan Shri Ram is going to defeat him. He doesn't have a chance or a way out of it, but he felt so compelled that he had to act in that way. So, are you trying to say that Ravan was not a true bhakt? That's why this emotion of doing something wrong got over him, got to him.
Ravan embodies qualities that all of us carry. Ravan performed great tapasya, great practices, and he got the results of those practices. This is something that is within all of our reach. But alongside those practices, he also got a lot of ego. When he prayed to Shiva and he got all of this strength, he believed that he owns Shiva. And so he went to Kailas and tried to carry Kailas and bring it to Lanka. At that time, Shiva pushed his foot down and he almost buried Ravana, and the sound, that roar that came out of Ravana is how he got that name Ravana. So, on the one hand, he represents a certain type of determination and discipline linked to that determination, which is accessible to all of us. But he also represents that ego that comes, where there is only blind pursuit of power. That is also a warning to all of us, because all of us can also behave in that way. I love someone, I love someone, I love someone. When that I love turns into I own or I possess that person, you don't realize.
Possessiveness, basically.
How many people say in their relationships, they're like, I need space. Why do they need space? Because the other person is possessing them. So he also embodies that. Right? And Ravan embodies someone who had access to a lot of knowledge, but was not able to convert that knowledge into wisdom. So he had the knowledge of what he had done with Sita was wrong. But because he had not been punished previously for that, because Sita was not the first person he kidnapped. In fact, Lanka also was not Ravan's. Lanka belonged to his half brother Kuber. And he drove Kuber out of Lanka, and he took control of it. He annexed Lanka. He did not build Lanka. So he knew that what I am doing is wrong, but because he had gotten away with it, he kept doing it, kept doing it. We also, all of us know that we are doing things that are wrong. But we, because we have gotten away with it so many times, we keep doing it. And this is not to make a moralistic judgment on people, how they say this is wrong, that is a sin. It's not to say that. We know that when an element of ego creeps into our heart, it makes our experience of anything impure. If we have cooked a beautiful meal and we are serving it to someone we love, the moment we say, I have cooked it, that purity of offering goes away, because then it becomes, if the other person doesn't sufficiently appreciate what we are giving, then we get peeved off. Right? So that ego makes anything, however pure it is, it will make it impure. And that aspect of taking something pure and making it impure with ego is what Ravana represents. Now, what does Bhagwan Shri Ram represent? Bhagwan Shri Ram is the Supreme Divine himself, or itself, manifested in that form. And Bhagwan Shri Ram says, in the Ramayan, says, even if Ravan comes to me, they have reached the shores of Lanka. The war is about to start. Vibhishan has defected. Bhagavan says, even if Ravan came to me today and sincerely asked for forgiveness, I would forgive him. Not only that, when Bhagavan fatally struck Ravan, so the war in the Ramayan lasted 9 days, and on the 10th day, Ravan fell. When Bhagavan struck Ravan and he fell and he was dying, at that time, Bhagavan told Lakshman, Ravan has great knowledge of statecraft. Go learn from him. And when Lakshman went and stood at Ravan's head, he said, tell me. Ravan kept quiet. So Lakshman Ji went back and said he didn't say anything. So Bhagavan Shri Ram asked, where did you stand? He said, I stood at his head. No, go stand at his feet because you are learning from him. And he went and he stood at his feet. At which point Ravan shared his knowledge. And Ravan acknowledged also that I should have known better. And after this whole thing, once Ravan passed, he was cremated with honor. And when Bhagavan Shri Ram went back to Ayodhya, his mother asked him, tell me, how did you kill Ravan? Bhagavan said, that great Ravan, who was learned and so accomplished in so many things, was not killed by me, but he was killed by his own ego. So all of us can be Ram. All of us can also be Ravan. The choice is ours. And when we say Ramayan, why is Ramayan important? Because it illustrates this very subtle path of what doing the right thing means. And it does it in the way of a story. We all love stories.
Correct, yeah.
We love the action. There's drama, there is romance, there is comedy, there is great action.
Suspense.
There is suspense, there's thriller. Everything is there in these texts. So we get, in one respect, we get entertained. But in the process of being entertained, my God, what is the depth of spiritual knowledge that is coming to us? That what would confuse us when we read the Vedas is being given to us in a very accessible way through the Kathas, through the Puranas and the Itihasas. The Itihasas are Ramayana and Mahabharata. Right? It's like if you want to have a medicine, the medicine itself is bitter, but it is coated in a sugar coating. And then it is put in a nice capsule that is in a red color.
So it looks appealing.
So it looks appealing. You take that red thing and you put it in your mouth and, sweet, I'll have it. And then you have it. And before you know it, you are better.
Correct, yeah.
So it makes it accessible, it makes it palatable, it makes it attractive. This is the beauty of Shastra.
Wow, that's genuinely like, when we talk about this also, the way you're just talking about probably a small percentage also of what the Shastras are, I think the energy also can be felt in that way also, because Anvay also, I'm noticing his breaths right now. He's taking those long, deep breaths, and you come to know that a person's listening and gaining a lot of knowledge, and the energy exchange that's happening. That's genuinely something that I feel is really good for people like us.
See, Shastra comes from the root word, Sanskrit word, shasan. Shasan means order. Order. You know, everything is in order.
Correct, yeah.
And even they say government, shasan. Yeah. No, of course, they say sarkar now.
Maharashtra Shasan, it's written behind
but
cars.
in Sanskrit, it is shasan. So Marathi, which is derived from, in Hindi, they'll say sarkar. But shasan means order. So that which brings order is a Shastra. When we connect to the wisdom of the Shastra, our body also goes into its natural ordered rhythm. Our breath itself becomes even. Our mind itself becomes calm. Our performance improves. That is the power of connecting with Shastras. Even in Bharat, which is now the most populous country in the world. The most popular television series when it was originally aired and when it was re-aired, or the most series too, are Ramayana and Mahabharata. And no matter how many times may have been recreated, the original ones from the 80s and 90s are what everyone goes back to. Why those series and why not the later ones which are better, CGI is better and the visual effects are better? Why not those ones? Because those original ones were closer to the original Shastra.
Okay. I think you have an emotional connect also with that, right?
Any Shastra that you read, any line, a single line from the Shastra that you read is so in tune with creation that it immediately affects us. Like one very interesting aspect that not many people will know, that the Ramayana has 24,000 verses. Okay. Each verse, the starting letter of each 1,000th verse, if you string it together, it gives you Gayatri Mantra. Because Gayatri Mantra also has 24 letters. So, Bhur, Bhuva, Swaha, Tat, Savitur, Aisa. So, that essence of Vedic knowledge that is contained in the Gayatri Mantra. Gayatri Mantra comes from the Vedas. That essence in and through pervades the entire Ramayana. So even you listen to a story of Ramayana, that power of Gayatri comes into us. That power of Gayatri, when it comes to us, it regulates our entire system. This is the power of Shastra. And I say this not as someone who wants to promote an evangelical view of Hinduism or any ism. It is someone who has practically experienced the impact of Shastra in my professional life. If you go to my LinkedIn, you will see no Ramayana, no Mahabharata, no Bhagavad Gita, no nothing. But the result of Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita, Gayatri Mantra is what you will see in my career journey. And it's not just me. Any and every great Bharatiya, whether they speak about it or not, their results are visible for people to see.
The Ambanis, Adanis, everyone.
I forget the names. Why you want to take names? You and I both know a billionaire.
Yeah.
Our common friend.
Correct.
Every day the amount of sadhana this person does. And they have a fully bootstrapped firm that is now one of the top 1,000 companies in India. So truly global firm operating in all of the major continents and in markets that many Indian companies have not been able to. And this is just one example. There are countless such examples. So this entire podcast is not simply addressed to people who are believers in Sanatan Dharma. It is not even addressed simply to the skeptics of Sanatan Dharma who want to get some clarity or want to understand more. It is addressed to those who want to go ahead and achieve some great things in their life, who want to do the extraordinary, who feel that something inside them makes them want to go further, who want a great career, who want to have deep, meaningful relationships. It is for them to say that actually you have access to those roots that will nourish you and give you the strength to achieve everything that you desire. And not just what you desire, but to achieve things that you cannot even conceive of today. That is the power of spirituality.
I want to ask you one question. While you were speaking, it just came up in my mind. What is the power of the Gayatri Mantra and why should me as a person chant it every day?
So the meaning of the Gayatri Mantra is very beautiful. It is addressed to Savitur, which is the solar deity, sun, right? And it says, Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha, Om, supreme reality, Bhur Bhuva Swaha are three realms. Bhu is the earth, Bhuva Swaha are the higher realms. Tat Savitur Varenyam, that I, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. It says, to that sun who pervades these three realms, Bhur Bhuva Swaha, I adore. Dhiyo Yonav Prachodayat. Illumine my intellect. So, Om, Supreme Reality, to that sun who pervades Bhu Bhuva Swaha, I pray that you illumine my intellect. That is a very beautiful and complete prayer in itself, because it says that that sun, because of whose light we can see everything that is around us. I pray to you that you give me light to see within myself. Give me inner light, inner understanding. So this is simple meaning of Gayatri Mantra. Now, if you go deeper, when you do Gayatri Sadhana, typically one is required to hold water either in their palms or hold water in a vessel. And that's why you will see people standing waist deep in various rivers or ponds, holding water in their hands and looking up at the sun. Now you go to Kumbh Mela, people will just take this and throw in the water. But they don't know. But the idea is you see the reflection of the sun in the water in your palms. Why? Because you can't look at the sun directly. Look at the sun directly, you will blind yourself. Right? So at the time of sunrise, the morning Sandhya, and sunset, the evening Sandhya, you hold the water in your arms, in your palms, you see the sunlight reflected in that, and you offer that back to the sun, and that process is known as Surya Arghya. Right? Now, what happens? We chant Dhiyo Yonav Prachodaya. Look at the reflection of the sun in the water in your palms. Naturally, your third eye, this chakra, becomes activated. So this entire mantra is not just a poem. It is a mechanism of activating our intellect. And that's why it was recommended that if you are doing Gayatri Sadhana, you should do the Sandhya. Because then you are able to access that power. That celestial energy source that pervades everything. Don't think that the sun is gone when it is set. Every ounce of electricity, every food that we eat, every clothes that we wear has been empowered by the sun. So that source of all creation in one respect, or the sustenance of life on this planet, that source can also give you spiritual realization. It is that intent with which the rishis got this vision of Gayatri Mantra and then created this practice that sits around it, sadhana that sits around it.
Because we were also talking about discipline, and the Gayatri Mantra definitely correlates to you getting more disciplined in your life as well. I want to cite an example from the Mahabharata. We talk about Arjuna being the most skilled warrior that anyone had ever seen, like perfectionist, everything. But when you compare Arjuna with Hanuman Ji, who was more disciplined according to you?
So, Hanuman Ji and Arjun are 2 points on the same spectrum. Arjun is a devotee who is seeking, and Hanuman Ji is a devotee who has realized, who has had that experience of the truth. Arjun is a devotee that is seeking the truth. He is still pursuing. Now, it's in my view not sensible to compare the two, because for both of them to get to where they have got to, they have had to be very disciplined. It's just that one is a slightly further point ahead on the journey.
Is it like different timelines you would say?
It's a different point on the journey.
Yeah.
Right? Like say for example, you have a top cricketer, say a Virat Kohli or any of the top cricketers. They will have a certain discipline of their life. They will wake up at a certain time. They will do certain activities for their mind. Then they will do physical training. Then they will spend certain amount of time on the field. Then they will eat in a certain way. Then they will rest in a certain way. And they will do this week after week, month after month, year after year. Now, Virat Kohli at that level and a very dedicated regional cricketer who wants to reach that level will both have the same routine, no? Same 24 hours in the day, same dedication, same everything. But one has realized. He has realized his dream of winning a World Cup and playing for India and all of that. One is still pursuing.
You can give a good example of Sachin and Virat, right? Sachin did everything when Virat was just starting out.
Correct. And Virat also looked at Sachin and said, if he can do it, then I have a role model that says that this process that is hard works. So Hanuman Ji was the role model for Arjun. Arjun was very blessed that he had many role models, including Bhagavan Shri Krishna. But on this one aspect of bhakti plus discipline, Hanuman Ji was the role model. And Hanuman Ji was with Arjun throughout the entire 18-day battlefield. 18-day battle. And Hanuman Ji was one of 4 people who heard the Bhagavad Gita directly from Bhagavan Shri Krishna. Those 4 were Arjun himself, Barbarik, which is a different story, it's a part of the Mahabharata. Third was Sanjay, who was the
narrating the
minister in Dhritarashtra's court, who was narrating that story. Fourth was Hanuman Ji. Why? Because Hanuman Ji was on the dhwaja, the flag that stood above above
the chariot.
Arjun's chariot. And so, see, where Arjun placed Hanuman Ji above him. He said, this is my aspiration. This is who I want to be. That every single thing that you see me achieve, every single thing that you see me do, he has already done it and he has done it better. And so for 18 days, Hanuman Ji sat on that chariot. And when Arjun used to go into battle, Hanuman Ji used to roar. Like he used the roar that Hanuman Ji used to give. All the, Kauravas were just gone, disheartened. Of course, they didn't know it was Hanuman Ji. They used to just think that the way that chariot is going, it's pulsing. It is. And he would sit on that chariot and encourage Arjun. Oh, okay, good shot, well done. He'd not tell him what to do. Bhagavan was there anyway guiding him.
But that encouragement.
He would encourage.
Yeah.
So, see, discipline, it's a good question that you have asked around comparison, because comparison can be for 2 things. Comparison can be for inspiration or comparison can be for competition. When a Virat Kohli looks to Sachin Tendulkar, he looks for inspiration. When a Arjun looks to Hanuman Ji, he looks for inspiration. So too, if we have people in our lives who are better than us, that we are comparing ourselves with, we should compare with the intention of inspiration, not of competition.
Because you mentioned, we are talking about the Mahabharata, how Hanuman Ji was placed above Arjuna Ji. And because you mentioned there were 4 people who ultimately heard the Mahabharata. Do you think, rather, because I've seen a lot of...
Who heard the Bhagavad Gita?
Sorry?
Who heard the Bhagavad Gita
Correct.
as it was narrated.
Yeah, who heard the Bhagavad Gita. Sorry, I missed that. Who heard the Bhagavad Gita as it was narrated. There were 4 people who heard it. And there's a lot of conspiracy, I would say. I don't know if that's the right word that I should use. Whether Hanuman Ji was meant to hear the Bhagavad Gita or not. So do you feel he had every right to hear it? He was meant to hear it, or it's just that was a curse or something? I've read a lot about it.
My
That's why.
question to people who put this view forward
Yeah.
is, what makes you think you are meant to hear the Bhagavad Gita? All of us hear the Bhagavad Gita today. We have access to it. There are recordings, there are videos. We have been blessed to put videos of our own. What makes us qualified to hear the Bhagavad Gita? And say, oh, I've done so much good. Is it? You have done really good? Be honest. Have you only done good in your whole life? No, it's a bit of good, bit of bad, shades of grey. Okay. What qualifies you? Oh, I've wanted to study it. Oh, Purva Janam Samskar. But what is it that gave you that Samskar? What qualifies us to hear Shastra? It is only the grace of Bhagavan. And it is only the blessing of Bhagavan. So anyone who hears the Bhagavad Gita or any Shastra should take it as a blessing and not sit here and judge others whether they were meant to hear it or not hear it, or qualified to hear it or not hear it. So this thought only of was he meant to hear it, please, see, it is like if I have gold in my hands, right? And if I have gold coins and you have gold bars, I have 1 kilo ka coin, it's quite heavy. You have 1 kilo ka bar. I am saying, no, his bar is better than mine, or my coin is better than his bar. It is gold. Why do you want to get into comparison on the form? See the essence. The essence is both. Of both is gold. The form of one might be a bar, the other one might be a coin. But the essence of both is gold. See that. When we hear a Shastra, see the essence. That this is divine wisdom that is coming to me to uplift my life, rather than the form, oh, this person is meant to hear it and that person is not meant to hear it, and because I am hearing it, then I am the greatest.
Is that a way of ego as well? Ki maine suna hai,
Of
tune
course
nahi
it
suna.
is. Of course it is. And see, ego, Ravan had great ego. Duryodhan had great ego, and they paid the price for it. But their ego was direct and visible. The ego that comes for one who thinks that they are spiritual, or who thinks that they are intellectually very advanced, that ego is very subtle.
And that's
And
worse.
that ego can keep us trapped, not just for one lifetime, but for lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. So therefore, if we have even access to a little bit of wisdom, it has to be accompanied with great humility. Great humility. And that's why the symbols of wisdom, the personifications of wisdom in our culture are so beautiful. We see Ma Saraswati as a representative of wisdom, spiritual illumination. Shastras, the embodiment of Shastra herself. Like Ma Saraswati has 4 arms. 2 of them are playing the veena. One is holding japa. Third one is holding Shastra. What does it mean? Shastra you can see. The Japamala you can see, so that Sadhana you can see, Seva you can see. Sangha is what? Sangha is all of us who are around her. She is dressed in white, pure. She rides a swan. Swan is able to, if you mix water and milk and offer it to the swan, swan is able to drink it in such a way that they only take in the milk and leave the water. Hamsa. It's a speciality of the swan. So that discernment of you may see good and bad but only take the good. That is what she is writing. So these are not just artistic decisions. These are representatives of, visual representatives of great spiritual truths and learning. The other representative of learning, Bhagwan Shri Ganesh. Such a big Bhagwan Shri Ganesh rides such a small mouse. Why? Because that mouse represents the ego. You can have one small mouse, but in your go down of grain, that one small mouse can wreak complete havoc, destroy everything. So too, you might have a little bit of ego, but that little bit of ego is also sufficient to break everything. So that ego has to be put in the service of the divine. That is what the mouse represents. That's why the mouse either is, Bhagavan is sitting on the mouse, or he is in a place where he is looking up at Bhagavan, or he is right next to Bhagavan, right next to him, joining him almost. So it says that your ego, especially around spiritual knowledge, either you try and be like Saraswati, who is embodying all the qualities. That is the point of achievement. If you are a very advanced soul, then that will make sense to you. But if we are on the journey, we are seekers, then be like that mouse. Know that you have ego. Know it can be very destructive, but just go and sit next to Bhagavan. And he'll give you what you need. Bhagavan takes very good care of his mouse. The modak that he gets, he'll take one chota piece and give it to him, so that the mouse also doesn't need to worry कि मेरा कब खाना आएगा, क्या होगा, कुछ नहीं होगा. And just by proximity to Bhagavan, that mouse that is so destructive also ends up being worshipped. When you do aarti of Bhagavan, the mouse is there now, uska bhi aarti kar dete hai. So that is the power of Sangha. So you see, Shastra, Sadhana, we saw it in Saraswati Ma. But power of Sangha, we see in Bhagavan Shri Krishna gives the definition of bhakti or of a bhakta. He gives the definition of a bhakta in the Bhagavad Gita. I won't do the full verse. If anyone wants to hear the full verse, it's there in our previous podcast. But the first phrase or the first indication that Bhagavan says, who is the bhakta? It says, Adveshta Sarva Bhutana. That one who has no dislike towards any one around him is a bhakta. Right? So, this is the quality of a bhakta, that they are all loving. And one who is all loving and all accepting, they are also all serving. So you see, when you pursue this path of knowledge, you get Shastra is embodied, Sadhana is embodied, Sangha is embodied, all three embodied in the form of the divine, and Seva is embodied in those who have bhakti towards the divine. You and I may say we are bhaktas, but we are not Adveshta Sarva Bhutana. At least I am not.
Yeah, I mean, there are people that you dislike.
So we have to be honest, I am not that. But yes, there are in our lives people who are Adveshta Sarva Bhutana. And the service that they are able to bring to life is unbelievable.
What do you think would be one message if Hanuman Ji had to give to today's youth? Particularly talking about Gen Z, Gen Alpha.
Every aspect of Hanuman Ji's life is a message. So it depends on what message we want to take out. The one message that really stands out to me is to know your own power. So when Hanuman Ji and all the other Vanaras went off in search of Sita, they reached the southern shore of India and were told that Sita Ma is on the other side on the island of Lanka. At that point, all of the Vanaras were debating, how far can I jump? How far can I go? Can I reach the other side? Hanuman Ji was the only one who was sat silent. And at that time, he was reminded of his power by Jambavan. Hanuman Ji, once he was reminded of his power, once he knew what he is capable of, he took up that task. And what was that task? So one is know your power. Two is dream big. Dream big. who does not have obstacles in their life? And the bigger you dream, the harder you work, the bigger the obstacles. Like people think that Hanuman Ji just jumped from one side and landed on the other side. They don't know on the way what all he encountered. He encountered Menak Padvat that came up and said, oh, come rest. You're on a long journey. Rest before you go. He said, no, I can't. I have to go. I can't get distracted. That tells us don't procrastinate. Second one, Sursa came out of the sea as a serpent and she opened her mouth so wide to eat him. But he realized that if she were to eat me, she would eat me. She wouldn't tell me I'm going to eat you. Sursa represents fear, which creates false emotions appearing real. It creates an illusion. And Hanumanji defeats fear to go beyond. Then Simika is a mythical ocean creature that sucks Hanumanji down into the water. That Simika represents jealousy, that you are doing something big, someone will pull you down.
Nazar in a way.
Nazar, whatever you want to call it.
Like different aspects.
Yeah. So Hanumanji knew his power. He dreamt big. He overcame these obstacles of procrastination, fear and jealousy. And he reached the other side. Now the other side, when he reached, he did his job. But he also went above and beyond. He went to Ravan's court. He delivered the message to him and then said, now I'm going to teach all these Lankans a lesson. And he set the whole city on fire and came back. Why? Not because he was vengeful, but because he knew that all the people over there were supporters of this adharmic activity and were benefiting from this adharmic activity. So that he burned the whole city. Those who were bhaktas, who were on the side of dharma like Vibhishan, their houses were spared. But he taught a lesson to those who were walking on the wrong path. So I would say just bato mein, there are 5 things that have come out. 1 is know yourself. 2 is dream big. 3 is when you execute, overcome the challenges of procrastination, fear and jealousy. And when you do something, go above and beyond so that your work becomes the standard that other people execute to. 5 very clear messages that the youth of today can get from Hanuman Ji.
I mean, this can go on and on, to be very honest. So many learnings that we can inculcate and imbibe from Hanuman Ji. But one thing that, us as young...
And if you want all the learnings, you can go to the Hanuman Chalisa talks that we have on my YouTube channel. All of this is discussed in detail.
But one thing I want to again talk about is Hardik Pandya. Who doesn't know him? World Cup winning player. He's won the World Cup twice. Such an important asset for our Indian team. He talks about this, ki I listen to the Hanuman Chalisa wherever I am. He bought a Ferrari. He said, I was hearing the Hanuman Chalisa inside of it. We all know that phase that he had. He was being booed by thousands, millions of people. And he's like, the Hanuman Chalisa kept me. And whenever I feel sad, I listen to the Hanuman Chalisa. And not just Hardik. We have Dhruv Jurel also. When he plays test cricket for India majorly, he's like, the Hanuman Chalisa has helped me a lot. So many athletes, Neeraj Chopra, all of them give credit to the Hanuman Chalisa. Why is it that they talk about the Hanuman Chalisa specifically?
Hanuman Chalisa is not just a song. It is not a tune. It is not a poem. It is the dynamism and power of Hanumanji in sound form. Hanuman Chalisa brings the dynamism and capability of Hanumanji in everyone. That strength to overcome obstacles, that strength to face their fear, the ability to go forward regardless of any challenge. That power is contained in the Hanuman Chalisa. So Hanumanji we normally see as a murti, as a photo. This is Hanumanji as a sound. And anyone who chants this mantra directly connects with Hanumanji. Such that Hanumanji enters his life, and just how Hanumanji carried Bhagavan Shri Ram and Lakshman on his shoulders, this person is also carried forth by Hanumanji. And this is not just an empty saying. In the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, Ananyas chintayanto maam ye janah paryupasate tesha nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. He says that one who thinks of me, who pursues me, who contemplates on me in and through everything, that person not only I protect what they have, but I take them to the ultimate goal as the Vahan, as the vehicle who carries them. So Hanuman Ji, it's no surprise that Hardik Pandya is playing Hanuman Ji in his Vahan, because Hanuman Ji is the Vahan that is carrying him.
Do you think there's a right way to chant it? कि मैं बैठा हूँ, I'm chilling, चलो हनुमान चालीसा करते हैं.
So Hanuman Chalisa is what is known as a Shabar mantra. There are many different types of mantras. There are Vedic mantras, Tantric mantras, and so on. And with Vedic mantras in particular, there are a lot of rules around how it can be chanted, what is the right meter in which it is chanted, what is the right sur, or what is the right intonation or the lilt in which it is chanted, what is the right time it is chanted, what is the way it is chanted.
Speed also.
Speed. All of these, there are certain rules and regulations around how a mantra is to be, a Vedic mantra is to be chanted. A Shabar mantra is a mantra that is accessible anywhere and everywhere at all times. So Hanuman Chalisa is one such Shabar mantra that can be chanted regardless of the circumstances. I have chanted Hanuman Chalisa on a dark highway in the middle of the night, and it has got me to my destination. I have chanted Hanuman Chalisa at the break of dawn. I have done 21 times Hanuman Chalisa sunset Havan in the morning. I have done 108 times Hanuman Chalisa Havan that lasted the whole day. I have done 11 times Hanuman Chalisa Havan that lasted in the evening. All of these are perfectly fine. The point is not to worry about rules and regulations. The point is to chant. Just chant and just become connected with that energy of Hanuman Ji. That energy will take you to any goal that you want.
So when should we not chant it?
One should not chant the Hanuman Chalisa when one has a overtly selfish motive. And what do I mean by overtly selfish motive? I'm using my words mindfully. Sometimes we want a certain outcome in life. I want to pass in this exam. I want to, achieve a certain goal. I want the strength to do it. So we say, Hanumanji, this is my intention and I'm chanting, please accept it. It is self-serving, but it's not overtly selfish. When we say overtly selfish is what we want. I want something that should not actually be mine to happen. That I like someone, Hanumanji, I am chanting Hanuman Chalisa, make that person fall in love with me. Arey, why? On what basis? And Hanumanji has nothing better to do but to spoil someone's life with your selfish love. So that is not right. We should not even dream of chanting Hanuman Chalisa to do harm to someone else, especially if that person is a good person. Yeah, Hanuman Ji, I want to chant, मेरे competition को खत्म कर दो. Don't even dream of doing that, because Hanuman Ji, he knows what is right or wrong. If you are in the wrong, he will wicket out. So Hanuman Ji is extremely loving. He's extremely patient. He is playful. He is accepting. He is wise. But he is not so open-minded that his discerning intellect is out of the question. He knows what is in our heart. And if we want something bad to happen or something to happen that is not us, don't dare to do this. Then it will rebound.
I had one personal question, which I'm sure probably a lot of people might relate to.
One thing I want to clarify is it is often said that women should not chant the Hanuman Chalisa. And that I know for a fact through various gurus in various circumstances. All of them have given the same answer to me, which is that there is nothing that debars women from chanting Hanuman Chalisa. There is nothing that debars women from doing Hanuman Sadhana. People say Hanuman is a Nakhand Brahmachari, women can't. You think Hanumanji's Brahmacharya is going to be affected by seeing, what might affect you or me? No. There is nothing that prevents the worship of Hanumanji based on an external characteristic such as gender. The only thing that inhibits worship of Hanuman Ji is the intention in our heart. And the warning is very clear. Do not pursue Hanuman Sadhana for selfish reasons. Pursue it as Hanuman Ji pursued Sadhana himself for service of the divine. And then everything will come to you.
Wow. Again, a personal question that I had, and probably a lot of people, I think, last two questions that I have in my mind. And I wouldn't say this is much related to Hanuman Ji, but probably his teachings or the way he lives. You can give me an answer on the basis of that. According to you and everything that you know, everything that you've learned, everything that we have spoken about today, what is love according to you? And because we know the love that Hanuman Ji had for Shri Ram, the love that people have, that Bhagwan has for his or her bhakts, what is love for the common man?
Love has become a cheap word. When we say to someone we love that I love you, we say to our parents, I love my mother. But in the same breath, we will say, I love chocolate. That we equate, I love this sports team. I love this food. I love this fragrance. We equate something that is permanent and unchanging, like the love for a parent or the love for the divine, and equal it to love for something like chocolate. If you have a first piece of chocolate, you may love it, but you have 500 pieces of chocolate, you will be throwing that same chocolate up. Your love goes out of the window. So love has unfortunately become a very cheap word. And there's a difference between love and lust. Love is to serve. Lust is to possess. Love is to give. Lust is to take. Love is to raise. Lust is to pull down. So, in this pursuit of love, one thing that we have to be very honest about are what are our intentions. When we love someone, do we want to give? Do we want to serve? Do we want to uplift? Or do we want to take? Do we want to extract? Do we want to pull down? And if it's the latter, I am very sorry to say it is not love. Not everyone is lucky in the path of romantic love. It is not easy always to find the love that we truly desire. And in the Shastras, there are wonderful stories that illustrate this. That when Parvati ji wanted Shiva for her husband, was the highest truth. She did not say, oh, why is Shiva not looking at me? I am so beautiful, I am so this, I am a princess in this kingdom, and he also lives in the same kingdom, why doesn't he? She said, okay, if I want Shiva, then I have to raise myself to the level of being suitable for Shiva. And even if I may be at that level, I have to prove it to him and I have to prove it to myself that I am truly at that level. And that's why she undertook a long period of penance to purify herself to be suitable. Now you say, oh, that's sexist. The same story, you can flip it around and say, Bhagwan Shri Ram found love, but he lost that love. And when he lost that love, he had to walk through the toughest periods of his life and in the most hopeless of scenarios to reconnect with that love again. This is not about gender. It is about recognizing that if we want true love, that pursuit has to be selfless. That pursuit cannot be touched by ego. And our Shastras are full of great love stories. Great love stories. Even in the Vedas, there are Upanishads, conversations on the topic of love between great rishis and their rishika wives.
But then people talk about attachment, that you shouldn't have attachment. Which I feel that when you love someone, obviously you're attached to them as well, right?
The only way that we can truly love without attachment, in my understanding, is to love the divine, which is by its nature a love without attachment, and see that love for the divine then reflected
In that person.
in other people around us. That love, to my understanding, and of course you are speaking to someone who is not married, so take it with a pinch of salt. That is true love. And that, for all of us with all of our shortcomings, me included, that is a path of love worth pursuing.
So Om, once again, thank you so much for taking out time and coming. I know how busy you are. I know how taxing your schedule is, taking our time on a Saturday, coming, talking about everything that we spoke today, having a few of my personal questions being answered. And this truly, I'm sure this podcast meant a lot to me, to Anwar, to the viewers. And this is definitely not going to be the last one that we do. We're going to record a lot more episodes if Om considers me to be a worthy podcastist. But having said that, the work that you're doing also, it inspires so many people. It inspires me on a daily basis, inspires a lot of people on a daily basis. And I definitely learnt a lot today. I definitely am going to think about, going to reanalyze the way I look at life. But thank you so much. And I hope you also had a good time. I hope you had a great time, and take care. Cheers.
Thank you for having me. Like I said, this is of the 3 podcasts I have done in the last 2 years. And those are 3 out of some 30 podcasts that I might have done over the last 4 years. I've done only 3 in the last 2 years, and of which 2 have been with you. So I love the work that you're doing. I love your style of questioning. I love how deep and honest we go, like bros. And I think if this podcast had one theme, it would be a podcast about love.